How do you know if you have a good wholesaling real estate deal or not? I get asked time and time again, Zach, is this a good deal? Zach, is this a bad deal? What makes a deal good or bad? What makes a deal worth pursuing or not pursuing in wholesaling real estate? Now, what we're gonna do today is really show you in my brain how within really 2 minutes, anybody can send me a wholesaling deal and I can determine like that very quickly if it's a deal or not. So in under 2 minutes, if you want to figure out ARV or comps or all these crazy formulas and get it done in under 2 minutes really quick how my brain works, I'll show you how to do it, guys. I've looked at tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of properties and comped them and looked at them. And my team has done a way more than that. And I can tell you really quickly in under 120 seconds, really under 2 minutes, I can figure out if a wholesaling real estate deal is good or not. So let's break this all down so you can be just as good as me, figure out if a wholesaling real estate deal is good or bad. Now, the best quote I can tell you here to figure out if a wholesaling deal works or not is, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. And what do I mean by this, right? What do I mean by if it makes dollars, it makes sense? Figure it out. If the wholesaling deal will make money for your cash buyer, if it will make you an assignment fee, then it makes sense, right? Like the word cent, right? Like the cent, like the money. But like it's kind of a funny term, but like it's true. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. So if you're gonna make money on the deal, do the deal. If your buyer's gonna make money and you can make money, do the deal. If it's gonna make money for us, we're gonna wanna do the deal. Now, what do I mean really by this? If the cash buyer is willing to pay me an assignment fee for the deal, it's a deal. Guys, the point of wholesaling is to get checks, get the moolah, get that money, baby, right? And if we're not gonna get money on the deal, what's the point of it? It's not a good deal. Simple as that. Now, again, who am I? Why should you listen to me? Again, my name is Zach Ginn. I make millions of dollars wholesaling real estate, and I teach wholesaling real estate absolutely for free. Everything that I've done to make millions of dollars, I give to the people for free because I'm not your guru. I already make millions of dollars. I don't need to be making courses to sell you $15,000 programs. I just teach this business for free so you can learn wholesaling real estate. I've been wholesaling real estate for over 7 years now. I've done over 2,000 wholesaling deals, and I'm just trying to show you how you can get to my point. Now, because I teach wholesaling real estate for free, I do have the largest wholesaling course because I'm the only one teaching wholesaling real estate for free, like the entire enchilada. So I have over 250 active students at freewholesaling.com. That's my quick plug. That is my free real estate wholesaling course. It costs $0, no credit card, nothing, just getting this course so you can learn wholesaling for free. The reason why I have a free course and not just an entire YouTube channel on this is because YouTube does not allow me to show real deals. I'm actually not allowed to show addresses really anymore, or checks and showing the entire thing. YouTube takes the video down, so I made my own free course where I spend tens of thousands of dollars a month teaching you guys wholesaling real estate out of my pocket so you can learn wholesaling for free. There's been nobody else in the history of wholesaling real estate that has produced the most first deals for somebody. That means somebody that actually got their first deal because they learned from me. There's been more wholesalers getting their first deal because of my teachings than any other coach in this mentor industry in the history of wholesaling real estate. Number one, because my stuff works, but really the truth is because I'm the only guy teaching it for free, so I have the most students. Now, who knows this guy? His name is Kenny Rogers, and he has a great song called The Gambler. And it goes, and this is my singing voice, but you gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. And basically what the point of that song is, again, because of copyright, I can't really share the song, so I had to sing it. Sorry, my apologies. But I love the song. You know, he says, you better know when to hold 'em, you better know when to fold 'em, you better know when to run away and to run. And what that basically, those lyrics mean is poker, right? So in poker, you better know when just to give up the hand or when to go all in on the hand. You gotta know what to do with the cards you're dealt. And this is why Kenny Rogers has the poker chips right there, and he's got his hand. And really wholesaling real estate, especially when you're looking at a deal, it's extremely similar. You don't need to be a poker expert, but you either got good hands or bad hands. If you go in bad hands, you can still win. Like a wholesaling deal, if it's a bad deal, you can still make money, but usually statistically the chances are low. And to become a good gambler, a good poker player, same thing with wholesaling real estate, you gotta know when, if you have a deal, if it's a good deal or a bad deal. That is it. And the cool part about wholesaling real estate is if the property's bad, our hands are the price. And the cool part about price is I can change it. I can't change my cards, but I can change the price on the deal. And I really love Kenny Rogers. I love classic country too, but I just love that song, and it's so similar to wholesaling real estate I had to share. And basically, you better know when to hold the deal or when to fold the deal. And what I can tell you is when you get presented a wholesaling real estate deal, when you're looking at the numbers, for every good wholesaling real estate deal you get, there's probably 5 pretenders out here, right? And what I mean is 5 bad deals. And so you gotta know most hands are gonna be bad. But that's okay, we just gotta figure out what's a good hand or a bad hand in wholesaling. The pretenders, right? What did I say? I said for every good deal, there's gonna be 5 pretenders. The pretenders, the bad deals, these are gonna be the deals that are going to suck most of your time. You're gonna waste your time and it's gonna kill your success. You must be able to tell if the deal is worth going after or not based on some factors. So I have 5 tells if you have a good or bad deal. Number 1, I go through MCTP. I literally ask them a bunch of qualifying questions to see if the seller is motivated or not with the property. I figure out property versus seller motivation. I determine the terms and the price if it's going to work. I call the bluff, kind of like poker. It's kind of funny, but I do call the bluff. And I just figure out if the numbers work or not. These are the 5 things that go through my head when I look at a wholesaling deal. Now, I should probably charge you $4,000 to go to this little seminar presentation today, but I'm giving it to you for free, so take notes. Also, there's some really bad tells, like automatically if the deal is bad. Number 1, if the deal has no urgency with the seller, and what I mean by this is, if the seller has no urgency to get rid of the property or sell it, it's usually a bad deal. If the seller won't divulge information to you about the property, let's say, for example, hey, how old is the roof? When's the last time it's been replaced? Does it need replacement? And the seller says, oh, you don't need to know that information. Oh, that's a red flag. Something is up with that deal and it's probably not a good property. It's probably not a good deal. And what I mean by this is another thing. It's called defensive questioning. Your motivated seller is probably going to have a bad deal if they're very defensive on your questioning. Hey, can you tell me a little bit more about the property? What do you need to know about my property? Why are you asking me all these questions about my house? That is a bad wholesaling deal. And what I mean by this is, if you have a motivated seller, they want you to buy their house. They want to get rid of it. Oh, you're asking me questions about my house? Oh, you're probably interested in buying it. Think about it. If you're looking to sell your car and just get rid of it, and someone's asking you, hey, how many miles is on the odometer? What's the color of the car? You're not going to be like, why are you asking me the color of my car? Well, yeah, because you're trying to buy the car, duh. So you're going to see a lot of defensive questioning too. And this is a really big tell if the deal is going to be bad or not. Another one is if the seller doesn't pick up the phone. Now, I do have some sellers that just never pick up the phone. But if they're fundamentally always not picking up the phone, something's shady, something's up with it. And one of my biggest ones is everyone here, if you've been to freewholesaling.com, you already know this. But I make every seller, before I go in the appointment, before I actually see the property, I make them make a yes or no decision on selling the property. So, hey, Mr. Seller, before I go see you on the house, I don't waste my time or your time. Are you ready to make a yes or no decision on selling the house when I go there today at 1 o'clock? Either they say, yes, I can make a decision, or no, I can't make a decision. And that's fine. Yes or no, I just want a decision. But if they can't make a decision for you, they're probably talking to other wholesalers, not going to be the best deal. Now, let's talk about the first thing that goes through my mind when I think if a deal is good or bad. Number 1, MCTP. This is how I'm going to figure out some information about the property. Number 1, I ask them the motivation. I ask them, hey, Mr. Seller, why are you looking to sell the property? Now, if they give me a decent, believable reason, hey, I'm having a divorce or I'm behind on my mortgage payments, I got to get out of here, I got to move to Georgia with my other family, that's a completely good, motivated reason why. I get anywhere between, hey, I have a DUI, hey, my son got arrested and I'm actually selling the property with him for him to help him out. Just standard stuff, right? Now, if you have a motivation like, oh, I don't know why I'm looking to sell the house, or why are you asking me that? That's weird. It's not weird, you know? And so I usually get that objection like, hey, Zach, why are you asking me why I want to sell my house? So I say, hey, I just want to know why. The reason why I ask you, Mr. Seller, is I'm not trying to pry into your personal life or your information, but really I have to determine why you're looking to sell, because I have sellers that sell the house because the house is infested in termites and they never want to tell me unless I actually ask them why they're looking to sell the house. And I just don't want to get burned on a deal. And so this is why I'm asking you why you're looking to sell the house. Not because I'm a mean guy or trying to get all your personal info. I'm asking you to figure out if like the house is infested with rats or something, or if you're looking to sell because you're looking to move closer to family. And that really puts them on the defensive and the offensive back to, oh, okay, that actually makes sense, because you really can't answer that objection without giving the motivation. And so that's a really important tip here, and make sure you keep note of that. Again, make sure you write that down and say that if the seller gives you some lip of why you're asking for their motivation. Next here is condition. What is the condition of the property? Can you tell me a little bit more about the house? Can you tell me a little bit more about the property? Like, how's the roof, the AC, any repairs I need to do? Just figure out, if I'm gonna go buy your house, what do I need to do to put it in tip-top condition? Because some of these new tenants, they want the works, right? They want marble countertops and fresh flooring and white paint and all this. Personally, stuff's crazy to me, but that's what the new tenants want. If I want to get the most in rent, that's what I'm going to have to do. So I'm just asking you some simple questions here. Don't need to leak your roofs or anything like that. And Mr. Seller, if the roof is leaking, that's okay. I just got to know so I can figure out the numbers. Next here, asking about time frame. Hey, Mr. Seller, when are you looking to sell the house? Remember, this is kind of the urgency thing we talked about before. I want to figure out how urgent the seller is to get rid of the property and sell it. Then lastly, price. I want to figure out what price they're at, because the house might be super ugly, but if the property is really ugly, it makes it seem like they need to sell for a discount, but some sellers, they want a crazy high price for a deal that's not that good. And so if the house is ugly and they want a super high price, it's not a deal. Or maybe they want a really low price and the deal's good, you can make a lot of money there. So keep this in mind. If all the MCTP that we go through is realistic, it makes sense, it works, then we can move forward on the property and move forward to the next steps here. Just got to make sure nothing is suspicious talking to them to make it seem like a bad deal. Now, the next determining factor I'll tell you is something called property versus seller motivation. What I can tell you here is there needs to be at least one. So either the property needs to be motivated or the seller needs to be motivated. So again, the property has to have some motivation, or there has to be some work done on the property, or the seller needs to want to get rid of the property or have a motivation. What I mean by this is, what's a property motivation? Ugly house, leaky roof, cracked flooring, something that makes the house ugly or it needs some cosmetic work. Now, what is a seller motivation? A seller motivation is when the seller is motivated, right? Maybe they're in a pre-foreclosure, they're going through a divorce, they got arrested, they're falling on hard times, they lost their job. That's a seller motivation. It's a reason why they want to get rid of the deal that's outside of the property. Now, usually when the property's motivated and the seller's motivated, that's the most likely scenario. Like, the house is messed up because I can't afford the repairs. That's usually the most likely case scenario of a good wholesaling deal. But at least one. If the house is nice and the seller has no reason to get rid of the property, it's most likely not a good wholesaling deal. The next thing I'll look at here is terms or price. Now, a motivated seller needs to agree on terms or price to make a deal. So what makes a real estate deal? Not just cheap housing. What makes a real estate deal? If the price is really good, that's the only thing determining a deal? No. There's another thing called terms, and I'm not going to get in a whole creative finance spiel right now, but terms or price is going to determine if a real estate deal is good or not. So if the price is really low on the purchasing of the property, it's great for wholesaling. Now, if the terms are good for us, then we could still make money just with creative financing instead. If there's a bad price and bad terms, then there's no money to be made. And what do I mean by this? What's a good price? If a cash buyer wants to buy my deal for $150,000 and my contract price is $125,000, I will make $25,000 of an assignment fee and a check in my hands. So if the price is really good, I can make money. Now, if this seller right here, let's say they say, Zach, I want to sell it for $190,000 and I will not take a penny less. And the buyer's at $150, there's no way I can make money. But if they want to sell for $125, we negotiate that, I can make $25,000 in profit. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. So any price from the seller that's below this is going to be a good wholesaling deal or not. So if the seller wants a contract price of $190,000, there's no money to be made here. But what if, for example, I can do terms? Now, this is Creative Finance 101. We're just going to do this for a couple minutes, so don't go crazy with this. But we could say, okay, Mr. Seller, I'll buy your house for $190,000, but as long as you take this thing called payments, if you make a payment plan for me. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll do a payment plan. And basically what that means is, I'm going to give you $1,000 down, and then I'm going to pay you $1,000 a month for the next 10 years, and then in 10 years, I'll pay the $69,000 that is left as a balloon. And what that basically means is, how does that make money? I'm paying this guy money. Well, I can get a tenant in place or sell it to a cash buyer, where I could find somebody who's going to pay me, a rent-to-own person who's going to pay me $2,000 down. They're going to pay me $1,700 a month for the next 10 years. And then in 10 years, they're going to agree to buy the house for, let's say, $250,000. This is kind of what we call like a lease option, where I'm going to end up on this deal making $1,000, where you can make like $180,000. Now, there's deals like this. You have to find the right seller, where you can make, if you know creative financing, which we teach at Wholesaling.com, $180,000 over 10 years on a really good creative financing deal. Now, the average one's probably a little less than this, but these numbers are kind of exposed a little more to make it easier for you to learn it. But really, you can find sellers on lease options, subject to, wrap deals, where, yeah, they want too much, but you can end up with a payment plan finding a rent-to-own buyer, which is actually easier than you think, and you can make all this money on the real estate deal with the power of terms. Now, sorry if you're a wholesaler, like don't get too crazy into this, but I do give you all the information. I know people will charge you 15 grand for a little mastermind to learn this, but I teach it for free, of how you can make money with the power of terms. So that's what I mean by terms. Don't be focused on this right now if you're just trying to get into wholesaling, but terms can make a deal. And what I mean by this is, if you have a deal where the seller wants to take payments on the property, do not throw the deal out, because there are ways for you to make money on this. And usually if it's a good deal, you can make a lot of money. So that's why you should partner up with people like me to do deals that are creative. And again, this is a funny saying, but it's true. You can't make lemonade out of peanut butter. And what I mean by this is, you can't make lemonade if you have peanut butter and that's all you got, right? You can't force a deal. So if the seller here wants 190 and they won't take terms, and the buyer's at 150, there's nothing you're going to do. You can't force that into a deal. And I get wholesalers all the time that try to force the deal, and it ain't going to work. There's people who say, oh, they'll take payments, but they want $50,000 down, and they want $3,000 a month. And I have to pay in full in 2 years. Like, that's not a good creative financing deal. So you can't force the deal. It either happens naturally or it doesn't. Now, the next type of thing that goes through my head when I look at a deal is what I call calling the bluff. Now, the seller, like, you don't really tell. So the seller, you can't really tell if it's a good wholesaling deal or not. Like, you really don't know, and this happens to me sometimes. What I do is I call the bluff. I call the hand, and I basically say, okay, Mr. Seller, just so I don't waste your time, when's a good time for me to come by and see the house? You know, you're telling me more about it. Let me just go see the house. If it's a bad deal, they'll say, whoa, you shouldn't go by my, don't go by my house. No, don't go by my house. Don't look at it. They're not motivated. But if it's a good deal and they're actually motivated and they actually want us to get rid of the property and sell it, they're going to say, sure, 4 o'clock works for me. The truth is, kind of like selling that car. If I'm looking to get rid of my car and somebody says, when's a good time for me to swing by and actually look at the car? Whoa, why are you trying to look at my car? You're actually not motivated to sell it, right? Because things are getting real. All good deals, if they're motivated, they'll be like, yeah, sure, swing by 2 o'clock. If they're not motivated, they don't need to see the house, it's not a good wholesaling deal. So sometimes you're in a situation where you don't know what to do, just call the bluff. Now, the next thing you have to determine here is, do the numbers work or do the numbers not work? Simple as that, just running the numbers. Here's my formula for MAO to figure out if the numbers work. It's ARV minus repairs multiplied by a certain percentage to figure out if the deal is good or not. So again, what is MAO? MAO is that thing I looked at, like, hey, what is the buyer going to buy the deal for? The buyer is going to buy the deal for the MAO value. And what is MAO? MAO is ARV minus repairs multiplied by a certain percentage. Now, your fake broke wholesaling guru is going to say it's 70% of ARV minus repairs to the 4th multiple. I don't really care, honestly. Your guru's fake, your guru's broke, they're trying to sell you a $15,000 program. They purposely confuse you on how the numbers work so you buy their program. It's all a game to sell you more coaching. Because they make it simple, these are the numbers and how they work. Figure out what the house is worth at its best condition, ARV, find the comps, which I teach at Wholesaling.com. figure out how much repairs are, and then if the ARV is, let's say, 230,000, we're going to multiply that by 83%. That's roughly what the buyer's going to buy it for. That is what the MAO is. And so let's talk about MAO for a second. If MAO is $170,000, your guru tells you you should probably minus off your assignment fee. Bleh. That is the stupidest thing I heard. Okay, let me minus off my assignment fee. I want to make $20,000. So $150. If you start out the negotiations at $150, your seller is not going to be even close to that. You're going to end up making $5,000 or $6,000. That's when I see a guru with a testimonial. The check is like $2,000 or $3,000. Why the checks that you see me show you guys are like $35,000, $40,000 from people? Because I don't prescribe to this broke person's mentality. This is a broke wholesaling guru mentality. What you need to do is lowball the crap out of your seller. And I get in trouble for this, but this is how you make fat stacks on wholesaling deals. This is how you end up making 50, 60, 70, 80, hundreds, thousands of dollars on assignment deals that me and everybody in freewholesaling.com does. How do you do this? If the MAO is 170, I want to be away. I want to get away from this number, and I want to get it down, down, down. And really what I'm going to focus on is this special thing. I don't focus on MAO. I focus on this super special thing. It's called LAO. Yeah, this is where the money's at, baby. We don't like a max allowable offer. We like to go after the least allowable offer. So LAO stands for least allowable offer. This is the least I can offer the seller without them kicking me out of the house. And LAO is really just going to be 70% of MAO. And what that means is I'm going to offer 70% of the MAO price off the bat to the seller. This means my initial offer to that motivated seller is going to be around $120,000. Because if I offer 120 and then the seller comes back to me at like 160, and I say, no, I have to be closer to this. I mean, I can do like 125. And you negotiate down the middle and you say, well, can we just meet in the middle here at, let's say, like 140, and we're all happy, then boom, you make $30,000, you're happy. Your LAO is not where you're going to end up. I mean, sometimes you do. But you negotiate down the middle, you make about 30K. That's a great wholesaling deal. The problem is you guys get so close to this number, that's all you care about, that's all you focus on. You got to start focusing on this if you actually want to end up making a lot of money. This is how the numbers work in wholesaling real estate. If you start low, once you start negotiating with a seller, they always go lower and you always go higher. But you just want to stay away from this price, because once you get close to this price, you end up having bad deals and deals that don't work. This is why we kind of separate. We create a wall between 170 and our negotiations. We don't even want to go near this. We don't, like, this is a ceiling. We're not going above this. We want to stay way below and then work our way underneath this number. So focus on LAO, not MAO. Now, if you want to figure out what your repair costs need to be, this is my simple worksheet for 2024 on repair costs, so take note, depending on light, medium, and heavy repair costs. But really, do the numbers work? Is the MAO above the purchase price, or is it not? The MAO should always be more than what you put under contract for. Then we have a spread. That is it. And so really, yeah, I could have probably cut this entire presentation down to this sentence. Is your contract price below the MAO, or is it not? That's what really determines if it's a deal or not. And remember, MAO is what most likely buy the deal for. So let's go over some numbers again. If the MAO is 100 grand and the seller wants to sell for 120, that is not a deal. Go negotiate, get the price lower than that. Remember, your cash buyer ultimately decides if it's a deal or not. Sometimes your numbers are just going to be way off. I'll get $120,000 from my MAO, but I talk to my buyer about it and they say, no, I want to buy this thing for 150. I go, wow, I guess I was wrong with the numbers. Good job. And sometimes I get buyers that say, ugh, the most I can buy this thing is for $70,000. Who's right on this situation? Well, the market determines it. And what I mean by this is if we have a deal and I've determined 120K is going to be my MAO, and let's say I talk to 5 cash buyers, and cash buyer 1 says they're going to buy this deal for 150K, buyer 2 says they want to buy it for 70, buyer number 3 says they want to buy this thing for 125, Buyer number 4 says 120, and buyer number 5 says they want to buy it for 140. What does this mean? Well, ultimately, the market decides. And so if we have 2 buyers that are going to buy this thing for above our price, then I can go with him, make 20K, go with him, make 30K. Boom. But here's the thing. Let's cover all this up here, right? And if I only talk to this buyer, I'm going to think I have a sucky, terrible deal. And really, it's depending on what other people want to buy it for. So I use the example a lot of like a Josh Allen Buffalo Bills signed helmet. It's probably worth on eBay $300, $400, $500. Now, what am I willing to pay for it? I'm willing to pay $1 just so I can throw the thing in the trash. I don't determine any value for a Josh Allen signed football helmet. But if I go to Buffalo, New York and find a Buffalo Bills fan, they'll easily pay that and probably more. And so what the worth of something is not just what one person is willing to pay for it, but what the mean of the total of a marketplace is. And so really what the marketplace roughly is, if we have people willing to pay a premium for it, just sell to those and that's a good deal. But if I just focus on the ones that won't give me a profit, I'm going to think my deal sucks. Now, there's also a vice versa here. Let's say my MAO ends up being 200K, and I talk to 5 cash buyers. Let's do it 6. And cash buyer 1 says they'll buy the deal for 150. Buyer 2 says they'll buy it for 140. Buyer 3 says they'll buy it for 190. Buyer number 3 says he'll buy it for 180. Buyer 5 says he'll buy it for 170. And buyer number 5 says he'll buy it for 140. What can we determine here? Because I see a lot of wholesalers have this issue. This means your deal sucks, okay? Pretty much the entire marketplace says, yeah, we'll buy it, but for way lower price. So what does this mean for you? Should you just go in a ball and cry like a baby? No. If everyone thinks you don't have a deal, you don't have a deal because the market has spoken. What we need to do here is just do a price negotiation. And if we have one guy at 190 and like 180, let's try to get it under contract for like 170 on just a price negotiation. Say, hey, Mr. Seller, sorry, but talking to my buyers, the house needs a lot more work. We're going to have to unfortunately buy this property at $170,000, not our original agreement. What we're going to do is send you over a revised agreement on buying the property so we can still close it on the 24th. Now, the truth is you're just going to have to renegotiate the deal so we can start making money with this guy and this guy. Because at this price, it ain't a good deal. And honestly, sometimes you don't know what the buyer's going to be at. And I have this saying a lot because I have a lot of wholesalers I work with where I can't even determine the MAO. And what I just say is lock that thing up for the lowest you can and let's just ask some buyers what they want to buy the property for. And sometimes you get lucky, you find some guys willing to pay more and sometimes you don't. But when in doubt, I always say just lock it up and see what the market will bring to the table. But again, you got to know the rules of the game. And so if you want to figure out more about exactly how to negotiate, the best ways to bring offers so you can get the best price under contract for it, how to find the best buyers willing to overpay for your deals, make sure you go to freewholesaling.com. So what do we do now? Like, what's the next steps, guys? Make sure you go to freewholesaling.com, my free wholesaling course, so we get the right information. Join our community in our Facebook group for free. It's called Wholesaling Houses for Real, so you do some free one-on-one calls with us. And again, make sure you subscribe to all of our YouTube channels, the Flip With Rick YouTube channel, the Zackin YouTube channel, and the Rickin YouTube channel. And really, that's how you figure out if you have a good wholesaling real estate deal or not. It's really not that complicated. You just got to run the numbers, figure out the seller, and see what it takes to see if we can get an assignment fee on the deal or not. Guys, my name is Zackin. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. This is Zackin. Have a blessed one.